I'm from, you have a lot of Black people who are just not really living their life. They're just sitting on the couch all day watching TV, hanging around each other, talking about people, drinking beer. Like it's not a life that you should want to live. But they've been in it so long. It's like a cycle. It's like a curse. Like a generational curse.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Legit Podcast. I'm your host, Vissy. I come with you again with a beautiful, beautiful guest, Jessica Spruill. She's a mother, a child of God, and Jessica has been through a lot of things. She has a really powerful, strong, beautiful, beautiful story, and I wanted to share it with you guys. Hi, Jessica. How are you?
Hi, BC. I'm well. Thank you so much for allowing me to be here with you today.
Good. So, Jessica, at the age of 6, she and her sister were taken by social services to a family and then got adopted at 12 by a family member within that family, and then went out to be up by herself at age 19. So, Jessica, I want to ask between you and your sister, who was older?
And my sister.
Your sister's older. Okay. And can you take us through what happened? Were you with your parents before that? Before you were with your aunt?
We were actually living with our grandmother and our mother. And it was five of us. It was myself, my sister, and we had three brothers. And we were actually at our aunt's house playing in the yard with our cousins. We lived in the country, so we were probably not wearing shoes. And we were just playing, and all of a sudden, this car comes up, and this white lady and white man get out of the car, and they, say, "We're looking for Ashley and Jessica," and we kind of look at them like, "Who are you?" And they were basically trying to tell us and explain to us what was happening. So they told us that they were going to take us to someone else's house to live for a while, and we did not get to say goodbye to our grandmother or our mother. So it was it was hard because we just didn't understand. I was only 6, so I really didn't understand. I was confused, and my sister's just a year older than me, so she was 7 at the time.
So in hindsight, looking back, did you find out why they came for you guys? Was something reported? Was home not fine or peaceful?
Yeah, the I've heard that someone in the neighborhood, called social services on my mom because she was never home, which she never was. She was always out. My grandmother pretty much took care of us. And so I think someone, called social services. And we asked a lot of questions, when we were in foster care, why were we taken? What happened? And they just told us that our mother just wasn't fit to be a mother.
Okay. So I know that the foster care system, how it works is somebody fosters you. It doesn't mean they're your parent or they've adopted you. And so
Mhm.
again, they can either give you back at any time or they can come for you again at any time. So was it like that from after you went to that family or got adopted? So after you got adopted, that's where you were until you were 19.
Yes, when we were taken to a lady's house who is my grandmother now, but she had a foster home, but she was older, she was much older, and she already had two other foster children, and she wanted to adopt us, but they wouldn't let her because they said she was too old. That's what I heard anyway. And so she had 12 children, and so she asked all of her children, if any of them wanted to adopt us before they placed us in another home.
So, what was growing up like as a foster kid and then also as an adopted kid?
It was amazing actually because although I had, siblings, when I lived with my mother and grandmother, being in the foster home was amazing because, like I said, my grandmother had 12 children. So they had children and some of them had children. So I had tons of cousins. So it was always fun. Every holiday we would get together, Easter, Christmas, Thanksgiving, and we would just have so much fun, in the yard playing and just having fun. So it was amazing when I was younger. And then when I got adopted, everything was fine at first. I was 12. So, everything was fine. We traveled every weekend. My mother, she had an in-home daycare. So, that was fun helping her with the kids and things like that. But as time went on, things started to pretty much, go to shambles with the marriage. Um,
So, were you and your sister adopted together, or were you separated?
Yes, we were adopted together.
Okay.
Two of our brothers were adopted together, and then our baby brother, he was adopted by himself.
Oh, okay. So, you said that at age 19 you went off to be your own. What did that look like?
I was so lost. I did not know who I was because I wanted to go to college when I finished school. I started working when I was 14, and the legal age was 15, but my mother, she had her way with, talking, and she got me a job when I was 14. So I worked until I was 18, and of course I finished high school. And I went to a really small high school. So I wanted to go to a school that was small, a college. And when I went to all these other big colleges, I was just so afraid because it was just huge and I wasn't used to being around that many people at once. So when it was time for me to pick a college, I chose a college. And when I found out it was a private college, I really didn't have the guidance that I wanted or needed at the time to say, just try a big college out, and see how it goes. And so my anxiety pretty much got the best of me. And my mom, I think she did her best as far as, um, she gave me the option. She said, you can just, continue working and find a better job. So I did. But I was just under a lot of stress at the time because I was helping her pay bills and I just felt like there was more to life than that. And so I decided to go off. And so I bought me a car and I moved with one of my coworkers at the time. Her mom had a couple of houses. And so I rented one of her houses and I just kind of finally decided to go out on my own.
I think that was very bold, and kudos to you. And I guess my question was, what I know you said the reason why was because you weren't getting as much guidance as you would like from the private college. And so when you did branch out, what were the things that you learned as like in life? Because I know that comes like having to grow up too fast, right? I can definitely attest to that. But like, what were the things that you learned that you felt like if you had stayed, you would not have learned?
Finding yourself. I found myself. I found so much out about myself. At first, of course, I was lost and I didn't know what I was doing and I was hanging in the wrong crowds. And thank God I never did anything too crazy. But, I would say like something I learned was just who I was as a person and how important that is because that's really what leads and guides you.
Okay. So, you did say you were a stripper for a while. How long was that? And was it solely for money? Or I know you started by saying you were totally lost. So was it a way of, getting self-worth, or it was just money? Yeah, what was that like?
Yeah, it was really all about the money part of it because at one point in my life, I had moved to Charlotte and I was working as a bottle girl at night on Fridays and Saturdays. And it got to a point where I pretty much kind of I had branched out again on my own because at one point in time I was living with my daughter's grandmother, her dad's mom, and I decided to branch out on my own and I started not really paying my bills because I couldn't afford to. Everything was so expensive. I didn't know about budgeting. I didn't know anything about anything still. And at this point, I was about 20 or 21. And so I lost my apartment. I lost my job. I lost my car. I was held at gunpoint. A lot of things happened. And that all happened within like a week's time. And so it was a lot of pressure on me. And I was just like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Like, I'm at a crossroads and I have nowhere to go. And so I ended up reaching out to one of my friends at the time, and she allowed me to stay with her. And she was pretty much needing money too. So she was a dance instructor, like a pole instructor. So she knew how to work the pole and stuff, and she made the suggestion that we would, go and try to make some money at a strip club. And I wasn't well known there, but people, knew who I was because I was on the club scene as a bottle girl at one of, the clubs. And so I was like, we got to go somewhere where nobody knows who we are. And so we found this, strip club that was just brand new, had just opened. And so we went there, and it was really just trying to get the money for me. It wasn't really trying to find self-worth or anything. I was never comfortable with it. I honestly, like, my whole stripping career probably lasted like 5 or 6 days. Because I was just like, this is not for me. I was a horrible stripper.
Good to know. Good to know. Okay. So at what point did you, what was your breaking point or your point where you felt like you had hit the wall? Because that's a lot of stuff to have, gone through. Like you said, I understand, going through is like problem after, it's like a cyclical, thing where it's problem after problem. Like, God, can I catch a break? Right.
Right.
And so, what was the point where you're like, okay, God, I'm surrendering to you. What is it you're trying to, let me know? At what point did you get saved? At what point did you start the journey of becoming you now?
So that started after all of that happened with, me losing my apartment and my car and everything. And then I went on that little stripper journey. I reached out to my sister, and she was married at this point. I reached out to her and I asked her if I could move with her. And she said yes. So I moved there, me and my daughter. And I remember, like, a few weeks after we got there, my daughter's father had reached out to me, and he asked if she could come visit him and his girlfriend. And so I said, sure. So they came and picked her up. And they had her for about a week. I told him, she could stay for a week. And so after a week, he asked if she could stay for another week. And I said, okay, that's fine, but she has to come back next week because I want to spend time with her before she goes to school. And at this point, I think she was in kindergarten, if I'm not mistaken, kindergarten or first grade. And so after that second week, I couldn't get a hold of them. I tried to call, they didn't answer the phone. Um, I tried messaging them on social media. I was blocked. And I tried to call his mom, no answer. I called his sister, no answer. I couldn't get a hold of anybody. And so I was like, what's going on? And I get this phone call from my daughter's uncle. He passed away a few years back, but the mother of his child, she called me and she said, hey, I thought you moved to Raleigh because we have a pretty good relationship. And I told her, I was like, yeah, I did move to Raleigh. And she said, well, why is your daughter, in school up here? And I said, she's not. She's in school down here. She's just visiting Charlotte. Well, I just got off the phone with her grandmother, and she said that they just went shopping. They just bought her some clothes. She's starting school on Monday. And my heart just like dropped to, like, my heart left my body, right? Like, I was just incomplete. I was like, what's going on? And that's when I really started to try to call, and that's when I found out they pretty much all blocked me. And so depression hit really hard then. That was the hardest time of my life. Like, even to this day, that was the hardest time of my life. And so I got into this really deep depression. Of course, I was trying to call the sheriff's department and the police. They said it was nothing they could do because we were both the parents. And I ended up just like making a decision in my mind. I was like, you know what, like, I don't want to live anymore. Like, I want to just be done with it all, because if I can't have my daughter, like, what's the point of me being here? So I remember going into the room one night, and I said, this is going to be the night that I'm just going to end it all. And so I was sitting there, and I was just like, deep down inside, I didn't want to, but I just, like, the depression and the pain was just too much to bear. So I reached out to someone that I knew on Instagram who had a nonprofit that tailored to suicidal awareness. And so I messaged them, and I was like, what would you say to someone who wants to take their life right now? And they were basically like, they wrote this whole, paragraph, and it didn't help. It didn't do anything for me. And I reached out to one of my cousins that I was close to. I told her what was going on. I told her what I was going through, and how I didn't want to live anymore. And even what she said didn't help. Like, nothing anyone could tell me would help with those feelings of what I was feeling. And so I remember I was like, God, I've been to church all my life. I've heard about you. I've heard all of these wonderful things that you've done, all these things that you can do. Like, if you are real, I don't even know if you're real, but if you are real, you are literally the only person that can save me right now. Like, you're the only one. And if you're not real, then I'm just going to go ahead and go through it. And I remember, like, all of a sudden, I felt this overwhelming peace, like, come over me. And I just broke down crying. Like, I was just boohoo crying, like, just crying on the floor, just laying there crying. And from that day forward, he just started speaking to me. The next day I went and I asked my sister to take me to the store to get a Bible. I went and got a Bible and started reading it. And I was like, God, I don't understand what I'm reading. This is confusing. He started to reveal what it was saying. And every time I turned around, he was showing me, he was like proving and confirming that he was real and that he was with me. And so that's how I got saved. Even though I went to church all of my life, I think that a lot of people can um, like we've kind of all been
Yeah.
right, like we've been to church all our lives, but
Yeah,
that doesn't mean you have a relationship, until
yeah,
you really get to know him for yourself. So that's
exactly.
how it all happened for me.
Yeah, exactly. I always say it's true. You get to a point in your life where nobody has help for you. Like they can say all the words, they can give all the money,
Right.
you can cry on their shoulder so much, but they have no help for you because it's something that it's really like in depth, like an innate feeling, like a hole, right? That
Hmm.
can only be filled by God. And so I'm glad though that He filled that and you were open to that and you're here today. How old was your daughter at that time?
She was about 5 or 6.
Okay,
I believe she's just started kindergarten.
okay.
So she was, thank God that she was young enough where she doesn't remember,
Remember,
all of what happened. So I'm grateful for that. But she was very young.
young, yeah. So can you tell us where you're at now? What you're doing, what you're into? I checked out your social media and it's very inspirational and God bless you for taking people, on your journey with you, the people that are ready to. But yeah, what are you into now?
Absolutely. Well, I'm doing great now. I have so much peace and so much love and so much joy, and that's the richest thing to me. It's not money. It's peace, love, and joy, and just being happy. And God has healed me like through all of those years. After all of that happened, I was able to get so much healing from what God allowed me to go through. And so now there's no more feeling sorry for myself, because for the longest time I felt so sorry for myself. Like, oh my gosh,
Why
Justin, you're going
me?
through this. And right. Why
Right.
me? What was me?
Yes,
Oh my, but now, like if anybody comes to me and says, woe is me or anything like that, I'm coming for you. Like, no, you're not doing that today. You're gonna choose to be happy. You're gonna choose to have joy. So right now I'm doing great. Where I live, I have an apartment. We've been here for 3 years. This is the longest that we've ever had our own place, myself and my daughter. So God has really blessed me with being able to have stability. And I left my job last March, or no, last May, when the pandemic pretty much happened. And so now I babysit. I do a couple of different things because I really want to focus on starting my mentor business, where I'll help other people. Because for the longest time, I really didn't know. I thought I knew what God wanted me to do, but it's totally different from what I thought it was.
Tell me about
My
it.
goal, right? But my goal is really just to help people and mentor people, because what we have to understand is that we have the power to choose. Like, we have the power to choose what life we want to live. We don't
Yeah,
have to stay stuck in depression. We don't have to, stay, around negative people. Like, we get to choose what life we want to live. So
yeah.
that's the message that I have for anyone who feels like they can't go to the next level in their lives.
Yeah, yeah. I totally agree that you get to choose. And sometimes, like for me, sometimes I'm at a point and like you were saying, they would, send you a whole paragraph and it would say nothing. And I think it also has to do with the mindset and also realizing that choosing does not mean it's easy, right? It's work. You have to actually pick yourself up and have a
Yes.
change and renew mindset. Like the word says, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. It just flows into everything and every aspect of your life. So I totally agree that it is like we choose the life and we create the life that we want. Even though we may go through challenges and hardships and hard times, we choose what direction to take. It's not easy. It's not easy. It's hard, right? It's not easy, but I think one of the things I say though is it's important the people you surround yourself with and the
Yes.
content, right? The social media, the kind of things you surround yourself with, that's what feeds you, that's what feeds
Yes.
you on a daily.
Preaching now, you're preaching.
I didn't mean to, but I just feel like those are the things that would actually kind of give you the hope and the courage to actually say that, yes, I can pick myself up, with
Hmm.
God by myself and do something, as opposed to this is it for me, I'm stuck, I'm not going anywhere. And
Hmm.
I think for me personally, one of the things that have helped me is like hearing people's stories like yours. It's like, wow, if she could do it, if God could do it in her life, then he can do it in mine, right? He's the same God. So yes, celebrating you for that. And I hope I'll be following you. The legit community will be following you closely on that. And so we're gonna play a little game just to lighten the mood and just to see you out. Rapid fire, so you have to answer within 3 seconds.
Okay.
Okay. First question is, what is your favorite emoji?
Emoji?
Yeah.
The heart emoji. I use that a
Okay.
lot.
Okay. Second, what is your go-to chapstick if you use chapstick?
I have lipsticks.
Oh, okay. Last one, if you could live anywhere in the world, where would you live?
Ooh, I would say Tulum.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, that's nice. Oh, Jessica, this was amazing. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us. I'm sure this will bless somebody. And that's what it's about. I was talking to somebody yesterday and they had pushback, which we didn't talk about, but had pushback about, telling her story. And she said something so profound that at this point, it's really not about me anymore. It's way bigger than me. I'm trying to reach people that God wants me to reach. I'm trying to bring hope, I'm trying to shed light, be the salt and the light. And so I believe that's what you are. You are such an anchor. God bless you. God bless your family, your daughter, and hope to see great things and how God will be revealed in your life.
Thank you so much, BC. This means a lot to me. And for you, what you're doing is amazing because you're reaching people all over the world. And God bless you. And may He continue to pour down blessings upon your podcast and everything that you have going on. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Thank you, guys.